What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to yet another video. Now, I did a walk around of this machine a few months back. I did a 4,000 mile review of our Maverick Trail, and I just thrown it out that if there was any interest, I would do a video just of the accessories that I've put on this machine. And I must say we had kind of an overwhelming response of yes, do that video. So here's the video that I owe you. We are just going to walk around the Maverick Trail. I'm going to show you the accessories that we've put on it. Now I want to give you some perspective. I want to just let you know kind of where my mind is at, where my head's at. When we bought this machine, how we've modified this machine. We do the Paiute Trail often, all the time. We do 50-inch trails all the time. That's why we bought this machine, so that we could continue to do 50-inch trails. I mean, we used to do them on the ATVs. They're our favorite trails down there, and so we wanted to continue riding the 50-inch trails. So every modification that we have done and what we have not done has been with that in mind. We wanted to stay as close to stock width as possible, so every modification has been to keep us within that 50-inch limit. Now, we do long rides on the Paiute Trail. We've had many over 100 miles, so you know we need some comforts, we need snacks, we need drinks, we need things like that, chairs and things. So storage, of course, was a big thing. We had some ideas in the beginning of doing some overnight camping with the machine. So again, storage and and some water bottles, things like that. That was in mind. And then as our filming grew and just the amount of equipment grew, again, more storage. But anyway, so trying to fill those needs, but staying within that 50-inch. So that's the inspiration, that's the motivation, that's the idea. That's everything revolves around staying 50-inch. So again, modifications that we've done, modifications that we haven't done, have all been for those purposes. One more thing. Now, don't skip ahead of this part because I need to say it, and I really think some of you need to hear it. I really want this part of it to be clear. So if you could just stick with me for 2 more minutes, I need to get this out of the way. Now hold on. These brackets right here, they bolt to the side of the Rifab cargo box, come up, okay? And then the pack mount bolts. These brackets, one on each side, these brackets were given to me by Rifab. And I'll explain to you when we get to that point why. But I want you to know every other accessory, every other part, everything on this machine, we paid for. We paid for it with our own money. And not only did we pay for it, we paid full retail price for it. And we paid shipping where necessary. Now, this channel doesn't have sponsors. People don't send me stuff to try out. So just so that you guys are clear where we are coming from, everything here was bought with our own money. So the opinions are based on the money that I spent. Is it worth what I spent? Blah, blah, blah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try to put links down in the description of where I bought this stuff. Now, some of it, a lot of it is Can Am. No, I shouldn't say a lot of it, but a lot of it is Can Am stuff. So rather than link to it, you can just go to Can Am's website and look for it. But other stuff, things that I bought on Amazon, if I can find the links of where I bought it, I will post a link down below. They are not affiliated links. I do not make any money on the links below. This is all straight up, okay? So I'm not making any money when you buy the product. If you click on the links, none of that affects me at all. So, I mean, I don't even monetize my channel. I don't monetize my videos. I don't make a penny for this. So I hope that the purity of what I'm trying to tell you is coming across. So I don't want to dwell on it too long. I need to say it. I think you need to hear it just so that we're all on the same page. But anyway, let's just get moving. All right, so the easiest place to start is probably in the front. Now, when we first bought the machine, there was zero aftermarket support. If you wanted an accessory for the Maverick Trail, you got it from Can Am. That was it. And so when I bought the machine, I did buy some Can Am parts with it, and at the time, man, they took a while to get. They were not easy to get. So I bought the Can Am front rack. I initially bought it, I did have in mind of putting a Roto Packs on it when I did it, but I also liked just the extra protection of the plastics, and I really thought it looked cool. So those are my big motivations for buying the rack. I just put down a plate of aluminum to the rack, just kind of attached it, laid some of this demolding down so that the Roto Packs has something soft to sit on, and painted it with some bed liner, the plate anyway. But yeah, and it also, you unscrew these knobs here and it tilts up out of the way like this so you can get to this inspection panel under the hood here. That's Can Am part. I also bought the brush guard. This is also a Can Am brush guard, and I bought the corner guards. Easy. I mean, it actually fits really well. I don't know if you can see it, but there's just kind of these clamps that go around these tubes here, hold it in place. Super easy install, and it works. Now the corner guards, I've used them a time or two to judge a 50-inch gate, so they do kind of come in handy for that. It's like if I can get, this pointed in between the gate on both sides, and I know I'm going to fit through. So yeah, a decent accessory. I did buy the Can Am 4,500-pound winch with synthetic rope. Kind of a pain in the butt to install. I mean, not horrible, but I mean, I'm used to the Polaris stuff where everything is pretty much plug and play. This took a little bit of wiring, and you got to do a little bit of work up underneath the dash. Not the most comfortable place to work underneath the dash of this machine. But yeah, I did buy the winch. I added this aux beam light. Got this on Amazon. I'll see if I can still find a link to it. I've had this on here for, what are we at? 3 years, a little over 3 years now. Still works great. I have this same light on my ATV. It's been on my ATV for 5-6 years, and it's still a really good light, and it's decent for the money. I'll put a link to that down below. Oh, what else are we missing? Oh, headlights. I did replace the low beams with an LED headlight bulb. It's just an H11 bulb. In fact, it's an H11 bulb in both sides. I think they're a Beam Tech. I will put a link to those two. And they're not a high dollar bulb. Now, an LED bulb is meant to have the element kind of straight up and down with the LEDs on each side. And the more expensive ones, you can clock the element part so that it is straight up and down. These do not do that, so it sits in there at kind of a 45-degree angle. I didn't replace these for the brightness because the headlights on these really kind of suck. So I use my headlights during the day. So I wanted something a little brighter and a little more white. So just so I can be seen down the trail a little bit further. Like I said, you can do the high beams also, but there's a little bit of trimming that might need to be involved. Now, if you are going to do this, I suggest you get the bulbs that have the heat sink on the back, not the kind that have the fan, because it's in a spot that mud and everything else will get up into that fan and destroy it in no time. So something with a heat sink, but it's a pretty cheap upgrade. I do like the way they look, just because they're, like I say, they're more white and a little bit brighter. I didn't do the high beams just because I never use the high beams. When it's dark, I use the light bars. So, like I say, I just use the headlights during the day. But yeah, it was a good mod, I think. Staying up here, kind of in the front. I don't remember the length of it. 40-inch, 41-inch. I don't remember. It's a curved LED light bar. I bought this on Amazon. Not a big fan of it. I'm not going to put a link to it just because I don't really like it. It's bright enough. It has a few LEDs on that far end that are starting to flicker. But my biggest problem with it is it's not sealed completely. It will get condensation in it, so it's just not sealed up well. So I'm just going to run this until I kill it. But yeah, not gonna bother putting a link down because I don't recommend the light. I like the idea. You know, a lot of people put them up on the roof. I wanted to keep mine below the roof line just to keep it from getting torn off. I don't know if you can see, but we've got some pretty substantial scratches on the roof. We've drug some stuff across the roof that we would have completely ripped the light bar off if it was mounted up here. So the whole idea was just to keep it down below the roof line. So yeah, and I have them mounted on these type of mounts. They just clamp to that cross tube. So while we're up here in the corner, let's just go ahead and get the tires out of the way. These are Tusk Terabytes. They're 27 by 912 on the stock wheels on all four corners. Now in the Maverick Trails, the wheels are all the same. Now the Maverick Sports have a different rear wheel in the front, but the Maverick Trails have the same wheel all around. So 27 912 tires mounted on stock wheels all the way around. I did it that way just so I could rotate them. Now these are the original Tusk Terabytes. Now they have a new one out now, like Aramid or Paramid or whatever the heck it is. It's a 10 ply. These are not those. When I bought these, there was only one Tusk Terabyte tire. These are the 8 ply, DOT rated, blah, 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 all that good stuff. I did some comparing the other day when I was getting this out, these tires against the new tire that's up as my spare that's never been used. So I've lost, these have 3,404 miles on them exactly, and I am down 5/32 of tread compared to the new one. I'm at 20/32 on the new one. These are at 15/32, so I'm down 5/32 in 3,404 miles. So they've been wearing really well. I've always been a big fan of these tires. I've talked about these tires a lot. I think for the price, you can't go wrong. The fact that you can mount them on your stock wheels so you don't have to spend another $400 or $500 on wheels. You know, they're not the super do-it-all tire that excels in every dang thing that there is out there, but I think they do reasonably well in just about everything. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I will buy another set when these wear out, if they wear out. I'm a big fan of these tires. Moving back, seismic mirrors, a little spendy, $150 or I don't know, whatever they are. Put a link to those if I can find a link. Seismic mirrors have a no questions asked lifetime guarantee. And I know people that have used that guarantee and they literally don't ask, they just send you what you need. Now the difference with mine, now these mirrors come with a clamp that clamps around the bar. And I didn't like the way that they looked because they sat at kind of a weird angle, almost like dog ears a little bit. They were angled up. I didn't like the way that they looked. And a friend of mine had an extra set of these Can Am mirror mounts, which I think really kind of bring things together. They take them lower, they make them sit straight up and down, they fold in a little bit tighter than they did with the seismic mounts. The only thing I really had to do to make it all work was I had to drill the hole in the Can Am bracket just a little bit bigger to make room for the bolt. And the bolt that comes with the mirror is a hex bolt, and it wouldn't work with the ridges. There's no way to tighten it, so I went and bought a stainless steel Allen head bolt to put there. But I think it's a good, I mean, I don't know where you're going to find an extra set of Can Am mirror mounts, but if you happen to have the Can Am mirrors and they've cracked like a lot of them do, rather than buying another set of Can Am mirrors, this is a pretty good option. Buy the seismic mirrors, put them on your mounts. I think they look good, they fit good. But anyway, yeah, good warranty, a good mirror. They've got notches in them, so notches there, notches there, notches there. So, and then the adjustment is in the mirror itself. Yeah, good mirror, happy with those. I do have another mirror up there that really at this point is no longer usable just because I have the spare tire mount in the way, so I can't see anything out of it. So that doesn't do a whole heck of a lot of good. I did buy the Can Am door trim kit. I think it's fairly cheap. It's about $35, $40 or something like that. I'm really glad I did this. Now, when you talk about sealing out dust, it's like, really? But I've noticed when I get done and I come home, there is a line that ends right here. The dust comes to here and it stops. There's no dust that makes it past here. So it does kind of keep the dust from billowing up in. Not a huge deal, but that's not why I bought them. The biggest reason I bought them was just that door over there rattled quite a bit. And I was hoping it would silence the rattle of the door, and it did. So for me, that alone was worth the price of admission, just to keep the rattles of the doors down. But I'm really glad I bought that. I'm really glad I bought this kit. Worth the money. These, the Can Am, I can't remember what they call them. I think they call them a knee pad with storage, which is a reasonable description. If they called them storage bags with knee pads, I would have a problem with that. They don't have a lot of storage. They have this little one. They have this zippered pocket in here that's about that deep, and then they have this mesh pocket here that's about that deep. Storage limited. I mean, I put my phone in here. I'm not sure what else you could put in there. And this was along the lines of just looking for ways to add more storage, and they're expensive. I mean, they're well built. They really are. Really well built. And I don't take them out when I wash the machine. I just hose them off with the pressure washer and the foam can and everything else. And they've held up. They're really well built. I mean, but that's almost not enough for me. Anyway, they make really great knee pads. I mean, that's right across this bar here. They work really well as a knee pad. So if 100 and whatever these things are, price-wise, is worth having a knee pad and a place to put your phone, so be it. They really are well built, but kind of a spendy knee pad. This bag, again, just looking for more places to store stuff. I wasn't sure how much I was going to actually really like this bag. I really like this bag. This thing actually holds quite a bit, and it's got a really decent weatherproof, dustproof zipper seal on it. It's fairly cavernous. This is where we put our tripod and other things. Got a little zippered mesh pocket in the back. I really like this bag. It's fairly easy to install, clamps around the bag. A couple of the little plastic pop rivets to hold the inspection cover on. You take those out, and there's some inserts that go in there, and the bottom of this bag screws into those inserts. So it's okay. It looks like it would be in the way of your shoulder, and it kind of is when your arm is down to your side. You can kind of feel it, but if your hand is up on the steering wheel, your shoulder's away from it, you don't even notice that it's there. It's a spendy little bag. I can't remember how much it was. It was near $100, but I actually really like this bag, and I would kind of recommend this bag if you're looking for just another little bit of storage. I have a shift lever in here, and I don't know if you can see it. It has my name on the top. My son made this for me on his 3D printer. So for my birthday or Christmas, I can't remember, but yeah, so that's just kind of special to me because it was my son made that. Everything else in here, move some switches around for the light bars. There's a switch down here for the lights in the back that we'll get to. Winch controls here. I think that's pretty much the modifications that I've done in the cab. I did mount, this is a Tusk scissor jack with mount. I just have it clamped to the top tube hanging right there. I do have, now this little pad of it rattled a little bit, so I wrapped a little strap, Velcro strap around it just so that little pad wouldn't rattle. And I do have just a zip tie. I always had this fear of it coming loose and coming out of this bracket and falling on my head, and it hasn't, but I mean, you can see it's still tight. This zip ties, the zip tie is just there just for peace of mind. But yeah, the Tusk, I want to say Tusk Terabyte, the Tusk scissor jack with mount. This is a 1 7/8, which is a 1.875 inch tube. If you're interested, that's the size of clamp that you will need to fit this tube. Moving out, my Rifab roof. I've got the roof At the same time, I got the rack. I'm a big fan of Rifab. I don't know if you noticed. You know, I talk them up quite a bit, but the truth is their stuff is incredible. I mean, this is, I think it's 1/8 inch aluminum. It's super thick. It doesn't vibrate, doesn't make noise. Big fan of the roof. It fits well. It hovers above the roll cage with a little bit of kind of rubber between the cage and here. So it's suspended by these little shims underneath. So it's not resting on the cage itself. So there's just no rattles to it. Love the roof. Been a big fan. I had the Can Am Bimini roof on here to begin with, just because, like I said, this was back in the beginning, and the only accessories there were Can Am, and I bought the Bimini roof because I'd had some thoughts of having the roof open. Anyway, I hated that Bimini roof. The Can Am plastic roofs have a habit of heating up in the sun and warping. You can buy whatever roof you want, I don't care, but I think for an extra 50 bucks or 100 bucks you can get a really decent aluminum roof, even the Dragonfire roof. Now, I don't have an experience with any other aluminum roofs, but I am a big fan of the Rifab roof, the Rifab rack. Now, this is where the story starts about these mounts back here. I had been pestering Rifab pretty much since I bought this machine. Like, when are you guys going to make a storage box? When are you guys going to make a roof? When are you guys going to make a windshield? Oh, I mean, I really pestered them early and often about accessories for this machine. And I think the first accessory they came out with was the Rifab box, which I bought right away. Now, I am invested in them a little bit in the fact that they are a local company to me, so I want to see them do well, because their employees live in the same place that I live, and so I have an interest in their success that way. That, again, they are a local company. It does save me money on shipping because I drive by their place twice a day on my way to and from work, so I don't have to pay for shipping. I can just drop by and pick it up. So, but anyway, back to the rack. I pestered them and pestered them and pestered them about this cargo rack. So they had one ready to go. Now, this wasn't the first one they built, but I can't confirm it, but I'll bet it was the second. Now, their test mule machine wasn't there, so they asked if they could borrow my machine to use as a test mule for the rack, for the fitment and everything else, you know. Yeah, absolutely. So I dropped my machine off. I paid for the rack, paid full retail price for the rack. What I got was the installation free, because I think they charge like $50 per component or something for installation if you want them to do it. I did get the installation for free, and then while I was at it, since you kind of have to put the roof on first, I bought the roof. They installed the roof for free. I paid for the roof, full retail price for the roof. Got the roof installed by them for free. Got the rack installed by them for free. And while I was there, I asked them about these brackets, so I can put my Roto Packs on here. And he walked me back through the shop and he handed them to me. He said, "Here, take them." Now, they were raw aluminum. They were bent and they had the holes drilled in them and they were ready to go, but they were still raw aluminum. I had to coat them, and I just coated them with that spray-on bed liner. But yeah, so there's the extent of my freebies. Those brackets and the installation of the rack and the installation of the roof, which I got for letting them use my machine as a test mule for fitment on the rack. I didn't buy the spare tire carrier right away. In fact, I think I went a year or so without it, and my wife started getting a little concerned about not having a spare tire. So I paid, I can't remember how much, I think it's 180 bucks, something like that, for the addition. It just bolts on. It kind of clamps on this side of the cage and comes across and attaches to this side of the cage. So, I mean, you can buy the spare tire mount at the same time you buy the rack, or you can not. You can always add it later, which I did. Pretty simple. Pull the pin and it swings up out of the way. Has a shock assist on it that kind of helps it open, also holds it open so that you can get into the box. One last little step on the cage, I added these little aux beam lights. I've had good luck with aux beam lights. They're not super expensive, and they're certainly not a rigid light or anything expensive, but they're certainly adequate. But I just added these two little lights back here as a kind of a work light if we do a night ride or whatever. Haven't ever really needed to use them, but I did add those to there. But coming back down to the box, this was the first real majorly, severely expensive modification, accessory, whatever, that I bought for the Maverick Trail. These are expensive. I don't remember offhand now. You can buy them with this top rack part or without. I mean, they're, I think, $550 or something for just the box, and maybe another $100 if you want to add the rack. There are cheaper options, and you can do what you can afford, but I am a big fan of the Rifab box, mostly because it's lockable, and the way it mounts to the machine, you attach these little things to the bed, the box comes down over the top, and these little T-nuts go down and hold it in place. So when it's locked, it's effectively locked to the machine. You can't even take it off the machine. You have to get inside of it to undo it, to take it out. And so I'm a big fan that it's lockable and it's removable. It will take you longer to get everything out of the box than it will to get the box out of the machine. 4 little T-nuts, it lifts right out. It's dust proof, completely dust proof, and completely waterproof. Shock assisted, got 2 shocks at each side. Now it's stiff, but they've designed it that way so that if you have things on top here, which we've done on occasion, our chairs and our table and things like that, when you have weight on the lid, the shock assist will still allow it to lift up and hold it up. But it's really good sized, plenty of room for tools, tarps. We got a hatchet and my crank handle for the jack and lug wrench. I mean, you name it, spare belt. And I've got room for 2 coolers that we put right here, one with our drinks, one with our snacks. Plenty of room. You can see here, this is where the handles are on the box itself. Now you basically undo these, take the handle off. These brackets bolt in place of where the handles were. Easy peasy, no big deal. Big fan of really everything Rifab does. I can't say enough good things about them. Another modification, super easy, super cheap. The Dawn flaps, we call them. They're $15, $18 at O'Reilly's. I can't remember what size. I'll see if I can find an old picture of them and post up. I just bought them at O'Reilly Auto Parts. You put them where you want them and you screw them in place. There's no trick to it. Now I did have to trim mine a little bit just because of these things right here. So I trimmed them so that I could flush them up and go around these. But they even come with the screws. You put them where you want them and you screw them in place. Super easy. And these keep the vast majority of mud off of your back, off the back of the machine. These are a first mod kind of thing. Big fan of these. And you can see with the Maverick Trail just how far the rear tire is back. And without these, mud, water, everything just shoots up. These make a huge difference. But yeah, so I mean, we run water jugs up here. You can buy 1 gallon Roto Packs. We have several Roto Packs in the family. I run a 2 gallon up here. I had a 3 gallon up here originally, and it was just a little bit too tall, I think. My wife had a hard time seeing over the top of it. She still complains about this one a little bit, but the 2 gallon's a little bit lower, a little bit more out of the way. I've never been where I've needed the extra fuel, but I have come really close. It's pure habit. Now I've been, I think 134 miles was my longest day on a single tank of fuel. And I had a few gallons probably in the tank when I got back. I've never needed extra fuel, but that's kind of the point. I mean, I've never needed a jack. I've never needed a spare tire. I mean, this is just another one of those things, an air pump, tire plug kit, tools. This is just another one of those things that I carry with me that I hope I'm never going to have to use. So yeah, just, and the trick to Roto Packs is, yes, they are extremely expensive, but if you watch their site, if you follow them on Instagram, they have blem sales a couple times a year, and they will take like 50% off of their blems, which are already fairly cheap. And almost every Roto Packs I have ever bought has been a blem. And I could hand you one and you couldn't tell me where the blem was. But apparently they didn't pass their inspection, so they let them go cheap. But if you keep your eyes out on Roto Packs' website, watch their blem sales, and even just without the blem sale, the blems are still pretty reasonably priced, but just about every Roto Packs I own has been a blem. But I could run fuel back here. I never felt right about having fuel back here where the engine is. It just never really turned me on. So my idea from the beginning was to always mount it up front. So mission accomplished. Not a bad idea to carry some extra water with you. And the idea is to maybe carry some distilled water with you. That way, if you have to add any coolant or anything like that, you know, you don't have any coolant with you, you have some distilled water that you can put in the reservoir if you have to. Just a thought. So the tire, another Tusk Terabyte 27912 as a spare. I bought another stock wheel off of Amazon, I think. There are probably cheaper places to get the wheel, but I bought the Can Am lug nuts, everything, so that I didn't need two different size lug wrenches. So everything, one tool can undo it from there and put it back on there. That was kind of the idea. Oh, when I was in the front, I forgot one modification that I did. And I did this, I think I had 200 and some odd miles on the machine. I removed my front sway bar. I removed it completely. And this is a controversial topic even still. And you do you, I don't care. I don't care if you leave it on. I don't care if you take it off. For us and the riding that we do, this made a huge improvement in just the way the machine rides and handles and flexes on some of the technical 50-inch stuff. Yes, it does nosedive a little bit on the high-speed turns. You just adjust your driving habits on the high-speed stuff. But for us and what we do, it was a worthwhile trade-off. It just taking that whole front sway bar off. If you don't want to take it off, you can just disconnect it from each end and zip tie it up out of the way. Try it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, put the bolt back in. But that, along with the tires, completely changed the way this machine acted and felt and responded, and just everything. That was two of just overall some of the greatest modifications, and I did them fairly early on. Big fan. Again, if it's not for everyone, so if you're happy with it on, then by all means leave it on. Oh, one last loop. What did I forget? I forgot the battery, and it's dirty under here. Yeah, sue me. This is an ETX 30 LA. It's a 30 amp hour battery. I bought this from O'Reilly's. It's just their Super Start brand. 400 cold cranking amps. And then I bought the Can Am mounting bracket. The bracket's expensive. It's about 50 bucks. And the battery's, I don't know, 140, I think. But yeah, the stock size of the battery is extremely small, and it just always felt a little weak. And so that was a pretty big upgrade for me, was that battery. Glad I did that. I did maybe forget to mention the Can Am winch does have a remote, a wired remote that I keep in this little pocket up here. The plug for that wired remote is up underneath this panel. I think that might be it. It sure feels like I've done a lot more than that. I feel like I've missed something. Had to have, right? But I don't know, that's the big stuff. We do have some pretty big plans for 2021. You've probably seen it while I'm circling around. Hold on, I'll give you a little peek. That is a 2021 Maverick Trail. My son bought that. And you can see we have some goodies to put on it. So we do have another member to the MyATVlife family this year, so I have a lot more going on. But the point is, my next video I'm going to do a comparison video between the 2018 and the 2021, some of the differences. It shouldn't be a very long video because there isn't a ton of difference, but that'll be my next video. I'm going to put these two side by side and we're going to show you the differences between the two. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.